Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us on this Monday call. We have a special guest today. One of my best friends, Julie Duke, is going to be sharing with us, and I'm just super excited, you guys. She has such a story, and she's going to be sharing just some quick things with us to really propel us in our business and be confident and have posture. So, Julie, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. Okay, so this is my very first team call. So this is a challenge out to everybody. If you haven't done anything yet that you're terrified of, and it's something that's brand new, go do it. Plan it, make it happen. It's not going to happen unless you make it happen. So, all right. So I am a red. I know last week we talked about color code. I am kind of more of a purple, but I lead out in a red. I like to be told what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we did, and kind of summarize it that way. So I'm going to tell you today, I want to talk about building your passion. I want to talk about sharing a practical, and then I want to kind of leave you with a tip. So I think the big part of what I wanted to talk about today was resolve. So I'm going to switch my camera because I can only see Meredith's face, and I think that that's kind of funny. Okay, so, all right, I want to talk about resolve. So this is a big thing that God's been teaching me, and having resolve and assurance in what you're doing. You've got to be sure of what you're doing before you're going to go do it, right? So we all know kind of what to do with the 3-3-3 and staying consistent and doing all the things. But if you don't have resolve in the beginning, then doing all of those things is going to just kind of make you feel defeated, and you're still going to be stuck. Nothing's going to change. So I looked up a definition of resolve, and resolve is a strong determination to do something. But it's interesting because the Latin root word is to unite. And I think that's really cool with Isagenix. The only way we're going to succeed is if we unite. We unite with the leaders around us. We unite with the leaders that we're training up, all of that. We have to unite to be able to have any kind of resolve and any kind of success. So that's really cool. So I kind of came up with this last night, and I wrote down, if you're not causing change, you're stuck in the mundane. So totally steal it if you want to, write it down, quote me if you want, I don't know. If you're not causing change, you're stuck in the mundane. So like I said in the beginning, the mundane, I think for us sometimes can be the 3-3-3, or letting our day run us versus us running our day. So Brendan Burchard's really good with this, listening to any of his stuff with starting off with your goals for the day and your practicals versus letting the day run you. Getting up earlier, we know all of these things, but starting your day and you run your day, don't let the day run you. So when we're sure of what we're talking about, it leads to learning and growing. So a motto for me this year is failing forward. I definitely come from a perfectionist mindset, where I wasn't going to do it unless I could do it really well. And this year I'm all about failing forward. And that means I have to be okay with failing. So if you back that up even further, if you're going to be okay with failing, that means you've got to be sure of what you're doing before you start doing it. Because if you are going to decide, I'm going to be okay with failure, but you're still unsure, then that failure is just going to wear you down more and more. Life happens, people disprove, leaders disprove, whatever is going to be coming against you, it just is going to. That's just part of it. But you can either be sure or you can be unsure. If you're going to be sure in what you're doing, you're learning from your failures, you're growing. If you're going to be unsure in what you're doing, you're just going to get worn down, and it's going to be like a spiral. Okay, well, when I get to the next event, that'll build my belief. And then, oh, we made it to the next event. I'm on fire. This is exciting. And then you just kind of start spiraling again. And you're like, why? I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything they're telling me to. And in the beginning, I don't remember who it was. Maybe Laura Stevens does a really good talk on this. In the John Maxwell leadership group, the last one, she just talked about your why, right? So everybody talks about your why. Does she call it your vision statement? She calls it something different, your clarity, something. Why are you building your Isagenix business? This one is really hard. So I'll give you an example just for me practically. Why my building my Isagenix business has changed. I mean, for everybody, it has to kind of evolve. In the beginning, I was like, I love this nutrition. I love this product. I want to be able to feed my family with it. So then you reach that goal and you're like, okay, I'm feeding my crazy tall husband and 4 kids with all of this food. Why am I building my Isagenix business now? So then you shift, and that shift is actually, it can take a really long time, and that's okay. So as you're shifting and like digging down, why am I doing this? I think for me, it kind of turned to wanting to help other people, but it's so vague that so many other priorities take precedence during the day versus helping other people, because we have our little people in our life. We have our husband, we have our house, we have our goals, we have our whatever, everything that we're doing. You're trying to spend time with your kids, you're trying to get everything done. But if your practical reason of why you're building your Isagenix business isn't larger or more emotional than I want to help other people, then you're going to start spiraling, and that worn down, unsure feeling is going to start creeping in and taking over. So when you have resolve and you have your why, that's when you really have vision and passion and emotion. And I feel like Meredith embodies this fully, right? I did not get introduced into Isagenix because of the product or because of the company. Both of those things actually were a turnoff. I feel like I even opened my eyes to the business or any kind of opportunity with any of it because of her passion. So if you've got your passion and your resolve, then you can start dripping on people. And so I wrote down one thing over here. Okay. So as we're building, the ones you convince, you'll drag. The ones you target will leave. And the ones you love will listen. And sometimes as you love people where they're at, it can take a really long time. But I feel like the faster they join you, the faster they'll leave. Sometimes the people that are so excited about like, I'm in. And then it kind of starts getting hard. Or I'm in. And then they do nothing about it. And then they're like, I'll just go do something different. I'll buy some different food, whatever. But as you love them really, really well, they'll listen. So that, I think, to me, it takes discernment. You've got to know when to drip on them, when to cast vision, when to go a little further, and when to just let them soak in what you've already told them, because if you push too hard, they'll leave. So as you're connecting, so I kind of want to take it from connecting, as you're connecting with people and like taking it offline. As you're connecting with people in this resolve, you need to be personable, passionate, and persistent. I didn't mean for them all to be P's, but I think listening to so many like leadership development things, just now my brain's wired that way. So connecting and taking it offline, you have to be personable, passionate, and persistent. So as you're persistent, you need to still be laid back. You need to be sure in what you're doing, having resolve in what you're doing, but you need to be laid back and going like, hey, this is where I'm going. Who's coming with me kind of thing. So going back to like your why, I'll give you just an example because I like examples. Sometimes I think of a why and I'm like, is that right? Or just in the beginning, I really needed somebody else's why to give me some kind of starting point, and then I could tweak it and make it my own. But I wrote, Isagenix will be the vehicle to fund our nonprofit and allow my husband and I to take freedom training to church plants all around the world. So that is specific to me. Your why obviously has to be specific to your goals and dreams and passions and all of that, and having resolve in it. So as you have that resolve and you're laid back in how you're presenting yourself, your intent is to want this for them. Your why can't drive their why. Does that make sense? So your intent is to want this for them. They need some kind of visionary to go first. They need somebody to cast it for them, for their life, not for you to share your why and for you to share what's driving you and why you're doing this so that they'll buy in on your dream. That doesn't work. Then people are going to feel used. You ask questions and you find out what they're excited about, what their pain points are. Like, we know this, right? But you talk to them. You've got to be driven. You have to be driven by questions and finding out what they're all about and really wanting this opportunity for them. Because if you're letting your why dictate how you're speaking to them, then you're unintentionally getting them to buy into what you're all about, when really we want them to buy into who God's made them to be, right? So we talked about being laid back. We talked about your intent is to want this for them. We talked about being discerning. As you are communicating with people and taking maybe a connection from online of whatever it starts out to be, of like, oh, I loved your so-and-so, and you kind of go back and forth for a while, taking it from online to offline. How do you get it there? So I like to be very personable. I don't like any of the mass stuff. I'm like a one-on-one person. Even sip and samples are kind of hard for me because I feel like I can't get into people's lives the way I want to. But you've just got to figure out how you love to share. I love sharing one-on-one. I know that takes longer. It just, it feels more me. So I want to be congruent to who I am, So as you're connecting and taking it offline, you've got to be consistent. And you've got to lead out in, your resolve. But really, as you're connecting with them and talking to them about their pain points and things that you want to connect with them about, I just take it from like, hey, will you hear me out on this? And I'm really direct. And I tell them what Isagenix has done for me, whether it's product wise or business wise. I tell them like, hey, this is what this has done for me. Can I put this in front of you so that you can decide for yourself whether you want this or not? Because I don't want to decide for you. So most of the time people will make time for you and hear you out. But then as you sit down with them and you have this resolve and you have this passion, you sit down with them and you ask lots of questions. And then you don't get them to buy into your belief. You ask them for them and then cast a vision for their own belief. Does that make sense? So that's the biggest thing that I have. I feel like it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. But there's a John Eldredge quote that I want to leave you with, is don't ask the world. Oh man, I killed it. John Eldredge has a really good quote with, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is people that have come alive. So I think for me, there's been this pressure of to be something that what the world needs, whatever it is, I'll fill the gap. See the need and fill it is something that I used to say all the time. But the world doesn't need just another able body. The world needs passionate people that are driven with goals and consistency and high energy, and they're leading out in like who they were called to be, to show up and make a difference. And I think as we kind of circle back to even your why, making a difference can't be so general. The making a difference has to be very specific, and your goals and your little things throughout the week have to be very specific. And then when you're not reaching them, you've got to figure out, why am I not reaching them? Am I making enough time for this? Am I choosing other things instead of this? All of that. So I'll stop there. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate you, Meredith.
Yay, Julie, I love it. But I do have some questions for you, because you do have a way with your words, and everything that she's saying, she has a passion behind it, and it comes out through her words. And so that's why even with her with voice messaging or voice texting, like that's really helpful because of the way she sounds. But I want you to tell them what you said the other day when you're at the gym and you talked to this guy and you were just very direct, kind of getting rid of like all the, I don't really care if he says no or not. What did you say to him?
I overheard this guy talking about having 2 bangs that morning, those drinks, like the pre-workout stuff. And he's like, oh, I had 2 bangs. I did this, whatever. And I was like, oh, you're going to die. Please don't do that. So I went home and grabbed a couple samples. I didn't really say much to him because I have given him a sample in the past. We have kind of talked about it in the past, but nothing with passion. I think I've talked to him in the past with just kind of like, hey, you know, this is just very nonchalant. So then I brought product to him and I said, okay, Mr. Caffeine Man, just because he was like stretching. It's a CrossFit gym. He's stretching on the floor. I was like, all right, Mr. Caffeine. And then I put Nitro, Recover, and an E-shot in front of him. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to make you feel like you're on a roller coaster and about to explode. This is going to give you focused energy. So I told him what it would do for him. And he was like, oh, okay. And so I didn't say anything about like a salesy pitch of if you like it or whatever. I just put it in front of him and I'm like, this is going to be a way better option for you because you're going to like get cancer and die if you keep doing what you're doing. And I just left it in front of him. But it was more of the confidence of approaching him with like, here, this is a better option for you. And I just leave it there. And I think for me, that's where the discernment comes in. Some people you can talk to them a lot more about it. And some people you just need to leave them alone. He's the type of guy you just need to leave him alone, put it in front of him, see what he does with it. So it just depends on the person.
Right. And just so you already knew about him to be able to do that. And so like, let's give another example with some friends. Let's give an example, if you could, with somebody who you went to out of love, you know, and then they enrolled. And then let's give an example that you went to someone out of love and they said, no, thank you. So do you have two examples like that? I know you do.
I do. I can think of one person that it was a no for 2 years and then it became a yes. So I think that one's a really good one to share because it takes time sharing with people, especially out of love. It takes a lot more time.
But tell them what you said, like the words that you said, even in the beginning, and then the persistency, and then what you said again to get them to look back at it.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was mostly a, hey, will you take a look? And, you know, there was a little bit of resistance and some back and forth questions. And so once I answered her questions, then I said, can I send you a sample? Can I at least just send you a sample and you can check it out for yourself because you're going to love it. And so she gets the sample and she's like, hey, thanks for taking the time, but I'm going to stick with what I already have because I know it and I don't want to try anything new right now. I was like, all right, fair enough. I mean, I probably would kind of say the same thing if it's all about the season of life they're in. So then I circled back. I try to circle back maybe every 3 months or so, sometimes 6 months, depending on the person. I circled back and I just kept the relationship going. It was not about product. I just was asking her how her baby was. I was just making connection. So then I know she was seeing more of my stuff online because she started commenting on it. And then about, I would say maybe 2 years, year and a half later, then I think she was talking about reaching some goals. So those are some big ones to like stay in touch with on Facebook, as if you find anybody that's trying to reach a goal or trying to, you know, do anything different, you can either be super encouraging and one of their cheerleaders as they're starting something new, or you can just connect with them and ask them like, hey, can I help you in this? Can I help you reach this goal? Because I really love helping. This is my favorite thing to do, is helping moms have more energy to be able to be the mom that they were created to be for their kids, because I really believe our kids deserve the best version of us. So let me help you be your best version and hear me out. So I did that again. That's really scary after you get multiple no's, you know? So I did that again. And then I always take it to Voxer. I don't know what you guys do, but I always take it to Voxer. It is so much easier. I don't like the voice messaging on, you know, a text message because you can't fast forward it. I will listen to everybody fast forward. Most of the time after Meredith has had an e-shot, I cannot listen to her fast forward it. But most everybody else, I can listen to them fast forward, and then I can pause and go grab my kids or whatever, and I can pick it back up where I left off. So I always take it to Voxer. I even ask people to download it because most moms are like, I don't have time to hear you out. So I just ask them, will you be willing to download this app for me so that we can stay in touch? And then I always make sure they change the settings so that it'll pop up and notify them when I've talked to them, because sometimes those will go unanswered for a while because they're not used to a new app. But yeah, I always take it to Voxer so that I can be more personable. And most of the time moms are like, wow, this is fun. I haven't had this much connection with other moms in years. So again, it takes longer, but it's way more personable.
So then she, like, you got her on Voxer and then you were like, hey, how did you get that sale at the end?
I asked her questions. She was ready. She was ready for it. It was finally the season of life where she had seen me be consistent. She had already heard me cast vision. She had already heard me kind of plant a couple seeds, and then I've left it alone. So then when she was ready, she came to me and she's like, all right, so what am I going to do if I were to need to lose 40 pounds? You know, she's talking hypothetically. So, and then I say, here, you can start this way, or this way. I always kind of give them like two choices, most of the time, just two. And I can say, if you're all in, if you're ready, if you're committed, if you want to, and then I give them whatever is best for them. I know everybody leads with a value pack. I lead with whatever is going to be best for them. So, I can configure something for them, or, you know, tell them about the $50 product coupon with the custom 30-day or whatever it is. I always give them two options. One of like, hey, if you're really serious and you're a go-getter, you can start with this. And then if you're wanting to start like with a good start, a solid start, I would start with this. But if you're just really trying to hit a goal within the next couple of months, I always give them like a second option.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. And then tell us how you've been shut down hardcore and you're still here sharing, because getting those no's, you know, it's a part of the process and it's not about you, it's about them. So do you have an example where you have laid your heart on the line and like you came to and then you got shut down?
Oh man, I don't even know which one to pick. So many. Yeah, I think as Meredith said, like, I don't do this for me. I do this because I know there's other moms out there that are tired and need help. So I have to remember where I was at when I didn't want anything to do with this. I said no for a long time. I didn't know what I was saying no to. I really thought it was a scammy thing. So I've got to understand that their hesitation, number one, I get it because I was there, but then also it's okay for me to be weird and different. It's okay for me to lead out and have the passion and for them not, because I don't know, I'm such a feeler. Like I was saying before, I just kind of discern where people are at. If I'm kind of discerning that they do not want anything to do with this, then I will back way off. And I'm getting used to being able to like push into that and say like, hey, I remember feeling just like you. Can I tell you my story just a little bit? Can I, you know, and then the feel, felt, found thing. So I think the biggest thing is the leaders around me, or my close friends around me, when I go to them and they say no, that feels a lot harder than somebody random. So even Brady was on the phone with Tyler Dickerhoof, and Tyler was like, hey, if you're good at like the random people, because Brady's not good with sharing with his friends, but he's really good with making connections with strangers. And so Tyler was like, if that's what you're good at, go do that. Don't feel like you need to be better at sharing with your friends. Go do what you're good at. And then all of the other stuff will kind of fall in place and you'll learn as you grow. So I don't know. I think for me, the biggest shutdown was asking other friends to have parties for me. Ugh. I'm like, hey, I know this isn't really for you and you're not blah, 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 but I know you love me and support me. I mean, it didn't say that, but that was kind of what I was feeling. Like, I know you like want this for me. So would you be willing to have a sip and sample party? You use different words, but, and those no's cut really deep, because it's your really close friends and you really think they're for you, and they are for you. They just don't understand fully. So having resolve in that and not letting yourself spiral, I think that's where it takes like being united, because if we can't be united with each other in like leading out and being the oddballs together, then we'll just kind of spiral. So
yes. And recently you and I were talking, and maybe you could share just about the whole pregnancy thing and this, like with those loved ones coming to you. Like, do you want to explain kind of the analogy we talked about?
I don't remember what you're saying.
Okay, so a lot of times when you're pregnant and people come up to you and they just initially want to tell you the negative thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're
Yeah.
starting something new like network marketing, or even just sharing this amazing new lifestyle or making money from home, people are going to automatically tell you the thing that scares them the most. Oh my gosh, girl, let me tell you what, you need to get an epidural because let me tell you why, because your baby's going to die and da, 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 and they're going to tell you like all the scary things. Well, same with network marketing is people want to tell you the things that they know because that's what they know. And they're doing it truly, like you would say, Julie, out, like, find out where the heart is coming from. So it may be hurtful to hear, like, no, network marketing is terrible, it's bad, it's a scam, da, da, da. So then you're like, oh no. And especially after celebration, especially after a Flourish event, you're going to get all these things coming at you, and really understanding where it's coming from, the heart behind it, and them not understanding this, but it's becoming more normal, which is great. But they don't understand the industry. So just taking it with a grain of salt and saying, okay, and loving them through that and saying, I'm so thankful that you are trying to help me, but I'm good, I'm okay, and just pushing through that. Did that kind of help you when you heard that analogy a little bit?
Yeah, it helps me a lot. I remember, I mean, for me, it goes back to resolve, because I had resolved to have my first baby in a birth center. I knew if I had the choice of an epidural, I would take it. And I, for me, didn't want to. I wanted to have my first at a birth center. And I remember a girlfriend of mine, she worked at the NICU, and she said, oh, we call those birth center babies organ donors. And I was like, oh, I was so hurt. I was terrified. I don't want to do anything to hurt my baby. I had resolved to have my baby in a birth center. So if you think of that analogy with network marketing, if you have resolved for Isagenix to be your vehicle, if you've resolved that this is it, you're going to learn and grow through this, you're going to love the people around you through this, you're going to use this as your vehicle, then if somebody tells you, oh, you're just, like, network marketing is there to use people, not really love people, then that hurts. That hurts when somebody's like, oh, you're not really loving people, you're just using them. That's like it's a punch in the gut. But if you have that resolve of like, no, I've decided that this is going to be my vehicle and this is how I'm going to learn and grow, because otherwise, if I don't do this, what am I going to do? I can go into personal options, but what am I going to use? How am I going to develop my leadership? How am I going to, like, rubber meets the road, sit down and make it happen? How am I going to put this first, and the people around me, like the people that I want to invest in, how am I going to put them first if I haven't resolved that comes first? So I don't know, I circle it back to like the assurance piece.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's leave them with 2 action steps from what you talked about today. Why don't you give them, because you're a red, let's talk to the reds here. And so next week they've got to show up and have this done. So what are 2 things that you want to leave them with, and kind of like, maybe if it is verbiage wise, like help them with a verbiage?
I don't know what to help them with the verbiage part right now. You can help me kind of develop that. But weekly goals, I think, we're really good at having big goals. For me, I was actually really bad at that. Like dreaming big and putting a big goal on a piece of paper, really, really bad at that. So whatever you're bad at, whether it's you're bad at writing goals for the little stuff, or the year from now, or the big giant dreaming goals, whatever is like very uncomfortable to you, write those out, and then write out what it's going to take to make that a priority, because life will just squeeze it out of us if we don't make it a priority. So what is it going to take to make those goals, whichever ones you write down, whatever category, a priority?
Okay, I love that. And then the verbiage thing that I kind of want to, like, I don't know, I'm trying to like figure this out, because I always come to you or Christina for verbiage. So How about the next thing be make so pick a number of how many people they need to reach out to talk to build that connection, to like, ask the questions or whatever, and then like wait, till they feel ready to say, hey, are you open to take a look? Because you've asked enough questions for where you can kind of fit that in. So how many people should they reach out to this week?
Yeah. So my weekly goal is to have 2 meetups. So like belly to belly, I take it offline, 2 meetups a week. I always bring my kids to those. I always bring, obviously, Isagenix to those. I bring enough to share with them. They're watching me eat it. They're watching my kids eat it. I do 2 meetups a week. I try to have one party. It kind of doesn't always happen. So that's something that I need to get better at, is having some kind of, if it's a sweat and sip or a sip and sample or just like a taco bar, whatever it is, where you're going to incorporate in the product and have the conversations. And then, so 2 meetups, 1 party, and 10 new people connections. So brand new people, whether that's YMCA or out at the park or friend of a friend, this person, it's most of the time that's either like Messenger or texting. 10 new people connections every week.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, guys, you got your 2 goals or 2 things you've got to do this week. Okay. And then we do have a promotion too that just launched, and I put it in the Blessing in a Box group, but I will read it to you really quick. Basically, it's free shipping at $150 for brand new people. And then it's free shipping and 20% off for $300 these are for brand new people. So 20% off if they're ordering a $300 or more thing, and free shipping. And then for those of us who have ISA delivery, which should be all of us because we're leaders, and we also want, to order all the time, get free shipping, but you get $20 off instantly if you spend $150, which is easy to do with your lifestyle rewards. So there's that. And I want to challenge those of you who are leaders who are not taking product B, Isagenesis, every day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. I want to challenge you right now to put that in your auto ship, because guys, that is everything. Like it is our product that is like the standalone by itself. It is everything. And if we're sharing the Forever Pack, or if we're sharing things like that, we have to know what it's doing for ourselves. So I want to challenge you to order a bottle, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And we are going to stop recording. Thanks for joining us, but stay on the line because we are going to open it up for questions.